I was discriminated against in Russia. They told me to go back to my country.
A Chinese user from Russia posted a video on TikTok on July 21st, 2025. They said, "What era is this? Still dealing with racial discrimination? We went to the supermarket. The staff was helping locals and we stood there waiting for 20 minutes. When she finished, we asked her to help us because the items were behind the counter. But she started yelling at us. The old man and woman nearby also yelled, 'Go back to China.'" The person filming replied in the comments saying, "We were yelled at several times before we recorded this." Some netizens commented, "Russia has always looked down on Chinese people. China-Russia friendship is something for the governments, not the people." Recently, there's been a popular video on Douyin showing a train conductor on a Central Asian train checking passports. When he saw an Asian face, he asked if they were Chinese. When the passenger said they were Korean, he immediately blocked the camera and said, "Koreans don't need a passport," and let them go. This incident happened on an international train from Kazakhstan to Uzbekistan. The conductor clearly targeted Chinese tourists. Recently, there's been a sharp tightening of visa policies for Chinese citizens in Kyrgyzstan, which has drawn attention. On November 18th, a local tourism agent revealed, "Today, 600 Chinese visa applications were rejected. I know the number because 3 of my friends who own businesses in China tried to come to Kyrgyzstan, but their visas were refused. I asked the local visa office why. They said it wasn't just my 3 friends. 600 people were rejected today."
反馈说11月17号晚上开始
Starting on the evening of November 17th, many Chinese tourist and business visas, including expedited ones, were almost all rejected. The reason for the tightened visa policy is because of several recent incidents involving Chinese people, including pornography and violence. The first type is conflicts and brawls. Not long ago, at a border checkpoint, Kyrgyz security officers clashed with a group of Chinese truck drivers. You've probably heard about this incident. There was pushing and shoving, even warnings fired. Local media directly pointed out that one party involved was Chinese citizens. In a small country like Kyrgyzstan, with a population of just 6 or 7 million, when this news hits trending, people immediately think of Chinese drivers and businessmen. And they get labeled just like that. The second type is underground places like KTVs involved in illegal activities. After September, Kyrgyzstan's National Security Department investigated several so-called KTVs and bars. On the surface, they were just places to sing, but in reality, they were shady spots. The government used a strong term, calling them secret brothels carefully disguised for foreigners. While the reports didn't name specific nationalities, local social media comments kept mentioning certain Chinese people and Chinese bosses. In a country with a predominantly Islamic culture and a generally conservative atmosphere, this type of incident is more serious and sensitive than you might think. The third type is the most heartbreaking, the cases of local women dying mysteriously, which also involve Chinese people. Kyrgyzstan is particularly sensitive about certain foreigners right now. To be honest, from a Western perspective, what they see are alcohol-fueled brawls, illegal workers, pornographic places involving women, and trade cases, all tied to Chinese people. They can't sort out who's just here doing business, who's here to make a quick profit and leave, or who's a scam artist or bad guy. So, the simplest and most direct solution is to tighten visas, keeping the risk out at the borders. If you ask which country is the least friendly to Chinese people, many Chinese people would say Russia. Whoever says Russians are friendly to Chinese people, I'll get angry with them. We were just in Moscow and we got scammed by a taxi driver. We took a cab from Red Square to the hotel, about 3 kilometers. We saw that the ride-sharing price was around 40 rubles, but it was hard to get a ride, so we took a regular taxi. He told us to use the meter, which was fine. But when we got there, he charged us 5,000 rubles and wouldn't let us go until we paid. Plus, he kept asking if we were Chinese. I don't know if he needed to confirm we were Chinese to make sure he could scam us, so just be careful when you go to Russia next time.
我说需要罚多少钱的款？
What kind of fine do I need to pay?
They will give you a 7,000 ruble fine.
Let me make it clear, my identity is completely legal and compliant. I couldn't have come here without the passport and visa. The landlord arranged the visa on arrival. This is extortion, pure and simple. From November 17th to 20th in Moscow, a Chinese man posted videos saying he was extorted by local police. He said he was about to deposit more than 20,000 rubles onto his card when he was stopped by police, who checked his bag and passport. They first claimed his passport was problematic, then demanded a 7,000 ruble fine, and later directly took over 20,000 rubles from his pocket. Many in the comments mocked him, saying he was too submissive in front of the police. He responded, "This is a foreign country, not China. If you argue with the police, they can lock you up, withhold food and drink, and you'll still have to pay a fine to get out." He criticized some Russian fans for refusing to hear the truth, stressing that he wasn't trying to smear all Russian police, but extortion by police near the markets was very common. He said, "With the new year approaching, they all want to collect a fee. By comparison, the police in the city center were relatively normal." He said, "I was just lucky to survive and come out to warn others. People doing business in Russia should really watch out for the police in these areas. It's truly dark." Adding that there were even worse experiences in the comments.
真的是不能说呀，说什么来什么。
Honestly, I really can't say anything. Just today, I complained about Russia, and then I left the train station and got taken to the police station. I got fined. It's really ridiculous. They told me that since I've been here for 2 weeks, I had to report to the police station first. If I didn't, I would definitely get fined. My visa wasn't an issue. The reason I got fined? Well, because I'm Chinese. If I wasn't here for work, I wouldn't have come to this place. I remember when I first arrived, I overheard 2 women speaking Russian, complaining as they walked past by customs. I asked my boyfriend what they were saying. He told me they were saying that Chinese people are so annoying and asking why we have to speak English. I feel like Russians aren't friendly to Chinese people. That's just my opinion.
给大家看看俄罗斯人是怎么割中国人韭菜。
Let me show you how Russians are taking advantage of Chinese people. This is Sheremetyevo Airport in Moscow. This is the Red Customs channel. There's a Russian lady standing here, making sure no one sneaks through this door. As soon as Chinese people get off the plane, they're all signed out for extra checks, while people from other countries, no matter how much luggage they have, can just walk through the Green Customs channel without any extra checks. Why is this happening? Because most of the people coming here are students, and students usually carry valuable things like phones and computers. With their clothes and electronics, they often exceed the maximum allowed amount. So all Chinese people have to go through extra checks. Why only check Chinese people? When they're not here to buy and sell, why check them like this? And why only Chinese people? To all the Chinese students entering Russia, just remember, what's said about China-Russia friendship doesn't always match reality. This treatment is really disheartening. Recently, a video surfaced where customs officers in Tanzania were asking Chinese passport holders for tips.
Yes. No.
Look at this. What's the problem? What's the problem?
Yes, no.
What's the problem? Find someone who speaks Chinese. Oh, they're starting to ask for money now. This is when I first realized some of the differences in Africa. First, Chinese people's status isn't as high as we think. Foreign customs make life difficult for Chinese people. People from other countries, even Africans, just walk through without being stopped. But as soon as they see a Chinese person, they start questioning, asking to open bags and demanding tips, even robbing. In their eyes, Chinese people are easy targets. These 2 African men asked me for a 100 yuan tip, but they didn't stop anyone else, not even the Japanese guy. They're used to just stopping Chinese people. Second, Chinese is not as popular as people think. Not many Africans love Chinese. They only learn Chinese to make money, and it has nothing to do with Chinese culture. South Korea just got caught in a mess after offering visa-free entry to China. It's really embarrassing.
South Korea just launched a visa exemption for Chinese people, starting from September 29th. It's valid for groups of 3 people traveling together, allowing them to stay for up to 15 days. But then, in early October, 2 people booked a tour group for 20 for a 4-day, 5-night trip to Seoul. When they arrived at Incheon Airport, these 2 people disappeared. The tour group panicked and immediately called the police. The Korean Immigration Office set up a special investigation team, and within a few days, they found the 2. They had run off to nearby cities, and they even caught the people who had helped hide them. It turned out these 2 weren't going for tourism. They had already planned to work illegally once they got there. They used the visa exemption to stay in Korea. This incident really makes people feel embarrassed. It's why many countries don't want to offer visa exemptions to China. There are always people trying to take advantage of the system, turning tourist visas into a way to immigrate. After hearing this news, I'm sure many countries will think twice before offering visa exemptions to China.
On October 21st, the Immigration Special Investigation Team from Seoul's Incheon Foreigners Immigration Office reported that the 2 Chinese tourists who had entered South Korea visa-free but went missing were finally apprehended on October 17th and 18th after tracking their accommodations. This wasn't an isolated case, but part of the second batch of similar arrests within just a few days. On October 17th, another group of Chinese tourists who had entered the country using the same method and then went missing was also found. As of now, the investigation team has captured 3 out of the 6 tourists, while 3 others remain unaccounted for. These 6 tourists arrived at Incheon port on September 29th aboard a cruise. After attending the fried chicken and beer event in Incheon, they left the event without permission and disappeared. There are even more outrageous cases shared in the comments. One netizen mentioned, "In 2000, I went to Korea for tourism. We were a group of 16, but on the first day, I was left with just my husband." Another netizen recalled, "During the tour to South Korea after 2010, there were 3 men in our group who clearly weren't city dwellers and didn't have good economic conditions. The tour guide noticed them and arranged for the male guide to stay with one of them in the same room. The group's passports were also collected. Despite this, the next day all 3 were gone." Netizens shared their opinions as well. Some angrily stated, "They want to overstay illegally, which could cause us legitimate tourists to lose our visa-free access. That's so selfish." Others suggested more rationally, "When we travel, we represent our country. Even if we don't do anything special, just following the local rules and schedule helps maintain our reputation." These voices echo the sentiment of most people. In fact, the issue of Chinese tourists going missing after entering visa-free is often linked to working illegally abroad. The root of the problem lies in China's domestic job market. Due to the ongoing economic downturn, the outsourcing of manufacturing, the oversaturation of the service industry, and fierce competition in the job market, unemployment rates are high. Many people struggle to find stable work in China, and as a result, overseas labor becomes an outlet. Even though they may be in an illegal status without labor protections, people are willing to take the risk because the income from illegal work abroad is often higher than that of similar positions in China. This directly contributes to China's low credit rating in international immigration risk assessments. Chinese citizens need to apply for visas to most countries, and the process is extremely complicated. Documents such as guarantee letters, invitation letters, and police clearance certificates are all required. At airports abroad, you'll often see people from other countries like Ireland, Canada, or the US breezing through passport control with just a quick scan, but a person with a Chinese passport faces serious scrutiny. Some countries even require Chinese citizens to apply for transit visas if they're passing through on their way to another destination and won't even allow them to leave the airport. It's almost as if Chinese citizens are treated like potential terrorists, facing severe restrictions. Even Chinese people can't enter Hong Kong without a visa. A netizen raised the question,
我想请问一下啊，为什么中国的
I'd like to ask why Hong Kong, which is part of China, allows Thai nationals to stay for 30 days visa-free and Indian nationals for 14 days. But as a Chinese person, I can't go in with just my ID card or passport. I have to go through the hassle of applying for a special permit with additional endorsements. And these endorsements only allow me to stay for 7 days at a time, less than half the visa-free time that Thai people get. Why is that? Ordinary Chinese people often feel a sense of awkwardness when dealing with Hong Kong's immigration policies. Foreigners can easily enjoy visa-free benefits, while mainland residents must go through the cumbersome process of obtaining special permits and endorsements with ridiculously short stays. Behind this issue is the discontent many ordinary citizens feel about the Chinese Communist Party system. In today's China, education and propaganda are heavily focused on nationalism. Internally, the message is about China's growing power and rapid development, while externally it targets foreign enemies, making some people believe that the US and its allies are constantly obstructing China's progress. This misleading propaganda, disconnected from reality, has caused some people to harbor deep hostility toward foreigners, especially Japanese people. Whenever someone criticizes the CCP or supports Taiwan, nationalistic internet trolls called Little Pinks immediately go on the offensive, displaying barbaric, ignorant, and violent behavior that ultimately damages the image of the Chinese people. Of course, these people don't represent all Chinese citizens. Beyond the Little Pinks, there is a group of civilized, educated Chinese people who follow the rules but remain silent. It's truly disheartening to see this situation unfold.